everybody, it's Kelly and I'm back with another layout, and today I'm going to scrapbook this picture of me and my second oldest grandson, and he's a fun-loving daredevil child, so I wanted to scrapbook it in with a lot of color. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to take that large polka dot paper, which is from Doodlebug So Much Fun. It's the Dots of Fun paper. And then I'm going to do like a 1/3, 2/3 kind of positioning here. And I'll add that green small dot paper. And I'm not sure exactly where that's from because I had a piece of it, not a whole piece. It very likely could be Doodlebug, but it could be something else as well. And you'll notice that I actually used the bright dot as the background. I've had that paper for a while and I haven't really used it, so I decided to just use that as the background versus the green paper, because I do use those like that green dot is what I call a faux solid, so it looks kind of like a solid paper, but obviously it's really not because it has a dot to it, and I use a ton of those. So then the transition between those two is pretty stark, so I wanted to add something to transition it, and I just grabbed that little border strip there from the Doodlebug Sweet Summer beach bag paper. That's where that comes from. So I had that hanging out in my Doodlebug folder. Anyway, so I did back this photo on white cardstock. You won't see me do that very often, but I really wanted to set it off from the background. I thought it needed some kind of border, and I thought white did a good job. So that's Basil Avalanche, just so you know that. And then this sticker, this Having a Blast sticker, is from the Doodlebug So Much Pun This and That cardstock stickers, so as well as this arrow sticker is from that same sticker sheet as well. So we were what we were doing is we were at his older brother's soccer game or soccer practice, and he just kind of sat in my lap and hung out, and it's so funny because he's really little here. He was only 2 at the time, but he looks so much bigger there, I think just because of the way this is positioned. So now I'm looking for a journaling card. I was thinking about like that navy blue, but I didn't like the navy so much because this is like a brighter blue. So I found this other one, which is from L Studio, and it's from one of the printables. I don't know which one, but you can find those on their website. And I print those off and then kind of let them hang out. So now what I'm doing is I'm thinking about, instead of putting that Having a Blast down below like I was going to, I'm going to make it part of my photo cluster here. And I'm going to do something I rarely do, which is I'm not going to have any other clusters. It's just really going to be this. So I think that the large dot paper is so there's so much pattern to it. I think less is more in this particular case, because if I put anything at the bottom, it would draw your eye back down, and I really want the focal point to be at the top, and I think your eye would have a problem focusing. Now if I did like the 3 clusters, I think that would have worked if I'd put it at the bottom, like right, and maybe where that one is sitting, and then the top right of the photo. I think that could have worked, but I just decided to go simple with this one. And sometimes that happens where I look at something and I just think, you know what, this is good just as it is. And you guys all know that I'm, love layers, so sometimes less is actually more. Although some of you may disagree with the fact that this is less, but for me this is definitely less for sure. So I kind of played around with a navy alpha, but I didn't think it was big enough. So then I went to this red glitter alpha. It's the American Crafts Journal Thickers in red, obviously in red. So I'm going to just pull in the words soccer selfie here. And if you were watching what I was doing before, I don't have any E's left. So I'm going to use 3s here for my E's. You just flip them the opposite way and you get your E's that way. So that's a nice way to do it. You can also put a little dot in the center of a C. That's another way to get an E. You can also cut off like parts of an 8 and you could get an E as well. That's another way you could do it. It would look, you know, obviously kind of like the 3 would. Yeah, 3 would. That sounds like a golf term. Oh, some days I amuse myself, don't I? And I may not actually be very amusing, but whatever. All right. So, you know, I'm finding there's not just a ton to talk about with this layout because it's so simple. And one of the things I'm doing, I'm being very conscious of where that arrow is laying because I need it to bridge the gap between the journaling card and that scalloped circle there that says having a blast. It would look really odd if I left any of that card showing below there. It would trap space there. And at first I wasn't sure that I liked the space that's above where the arrow is going to be, but I think it's okay because it's not trapped. And what ends up happening, and I don't remember if you see my journaling on this one or not. The journaling is done as I'm voicing this and recording it, but sometimes I take the photos and then I do the journaling later. Part of that sometimes is because it might disclose things that I don't necessarily want disclosed on the internet. Like, I don't know. I'm sure if you guys really wanted to, you could tell me what the names are of all my grandchildren because that is out there. But, you know, addresses and specific places and that kind of stuff, sometimes I don't want out there, especially with the kids. So anyway, I decided that everything is very flat. So I wanted a little dimension here. And that's why I ended up putting some of that foam tape underneath that arrow. And I don't know that I've talked about this in a while, but you can buy those gigantic rolls of foam tape on Amazon. And they last me like 4 years usually, about 4 years. And they're considerable, you know, they're almost $40 to buy, but it's a lot cheaper to buy them that way than it is to buy the smaller rolls of the foam tape. And I know a lot of people use the craft foam now, but this is for me still my favorite way to do it just because it's narrower. So now I'm looking for a little bit more dimension and I find this puffy sticker from the Elle Studio Everyday Puffy Labels and decide to put that on the top there, that just little hello. And I think if I remember correctly, I sent this photo to a friend of mine. I texted it to her because she thinks my grandkids are darling, which God bless her, they are. Anyway, so now I'm going to go through and I'm going to add in some pluses and some other things. I'm looking for other things to kind of scatter around. And I like the idea of putting the pluses on here because they just kind of sit there for me. I've had that particular pack, which is the Elle Studio Summer Puffy Stickers, for quite a while, and I haven't really used many of them. So I think it's kind of nice that I finally actually am using these things up. And so I'm going back and forth between those and the Giving Thanks Puffy Stickers about which ones I'm using. So I added in the 3 plus signs, and then I'm going to add in some of these dots again from the summer puffy stickers as well, just to give a little bit more, again, a dimension and different texture on the layout here, which I think is an important thing to do to get them both a little bit of something different. So you guys, I am basically done. The still shot and a detail shot will follow. Hope you guys are all well, and I'll be back with another layout again soon. Bye.